To Best Practices Weekly, the primary edition. Lots of talk going on in a lot of schools about Common Core state standards, and sometimes it's easy to look so closely at the details that we miss the big picture and vision of what the Common Core standards are really all about. So today we'll look at an article from the November 2013 edition of the Reading Teacher with some suggestions and some cautions when reading the Common Core state standards. The title of the article is Ccss-Ela, and ELA stands for English Language Arts, Suggestions and Cautions for Implementing the Reading Standards. Comes from the November 2013 edition of the Reading Teacher. The authors of this article just really felt like sometimes with the new Common Core state standards, it's easy to miss the forest for the trees, that we get trapped in the details in the grade level standards and sometimes miss the overarching goals, themes, and visions of the standards. So it attempts to break down the standards and the way that they were meant to be read for all stakeholders. And we'll look at that today through a suggestions and cautions venue. First, we'll look at understanding the vision. The suggestions that they give is to actually go to the standards themselves and carefully read the introductions to the standards so that we get a clear goal and vision of the close and attentive reading of complex works of literature that the Common Core state standards call for. They actually list part of the introduction in the article, and it says that they're encouraging students to habitually perform critical reading necessary to pick through all of the media choices that are out there today to find the ones that are really worth reading, and then to actively seek the wide, deep, and thoughtful engagement with high-quality literary and informational text. So as we work to make curriculum instruction decisions, we should do it in the light of the fact that we are looking to develop close and attentive readers. The article cautions us that the standards are a vision and not necessarily a prescription for what is to be taught. They don't endorse specific instructional strategies or programs or interventions, and teacher professional judgment is still valued through these standards. Next, we'll look at understanding the difference between anchor standards and grade level standards. So there are 10 anchor standards that go throughout every grade level, pre-K up through 12th grade, 10 anchor standards that focus on comprehension, and 9 of them focus on comprehension, and 1 of them focuses on text complexity. So then, even breaking those anchor standards down further, they're going to pay close attention in the anchor standards to 3 things: key ideas and details, craft and structure, and integration of knowledge and ideas. And the author really talks about the fact that it's essential for teachers to understand what the anchor standards mean, because the grade level standards are really just an extension of the anchor standard. We need to be cautious. Our caution here is to interpret the grade level standards generously and not literally. They don't represent all or everything that can or should be taught, but think of them as a specific example of the anchor standard as they relate to a specific grade level. The exception in this case is the reading foundational standards we'll find in K through 5. Those should be taken as specific skills that those students at that grade level should master. But they do caution us that those reading foundational standards are really to engage students in continuous reading and writing, and that we should be careful not to just pull them out and teach them separate from reading and writing. So be careful about teaching in isolation. Lastly, we'll look at some suggestions and cautions for understanding the implications for instruction. If we look carefully at the standards, we'll see that the shifts in instruction are defined in the standards through the words complexity, evidence, and knowledge. Complexity in the standards can be defined as a regular practice, and that students are working on a regular basis with complex text and the academic language that can be found within complex text. Evidence consists of reading and writing, like read like a detective and write like an investigative reporter. It's grounded in evidence, and it's always referring back to the text. That's both in literary and informational text. And knowledge refers to integrating literacy into the content areas to build knowledge through engagement with text that is rich with content and meaning. The cautions here for instruction is basing an entire year of curriculum on a skill-based model. So they would suggest that you take a whole part whole approach. That would mean to begin with a holistic reading task in relation to a text, to step out of the task to focus in on a skill, but then to take that skill and relate it directly back to the original reading task, so that you're applying your skills in context. So again, we're talking about being careful about teaching skills in complete isolation and then just tying standards to them. Also, they would caution us to not eliminate pre-reading, but don't overdo it either. Done well, pre-reading should promote knowledge and skills, but that knowledge and skills should help them successfully comprehend specific texts and other texts on a similar topic, but not necessarily spoon-feed the content to them. I know that those suggestions and cautions are a lot for us to take in all at once. So I hope that you'll go to our website and print off the summary of this article, because there are broken down for you into nice table suggestions and cautions just for you to keep next to you as you're implementing and planning for instruction, to keep these things in the front of your mind, because we're all learning about these new standards together. Thanks so much for joining us today.